Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our Thinking Talks. My name is Sara Pini. I'm a Senior Research Officer at the Martens Center, and I'm very pleased to introduce our guest today, our dear President, Mikulas Dzurinda. Before becoming president of the center, he was Prime Minister of Slovakia from 1998 to 2006, when his internationally acclaimed reforms led the country into the EU, NATO, and the OECD, and he was then Minister for Foreign Affairs from 2010 to 2012. Welcome, President, and thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you for having me here.
2023 is coming to an end, so we wanted to take this occasion to wrap up another successful year for the Martens Center. But this year is particularly important for you because it was exactly 10 years ago that you were elected president of the center for the first time, right? So what are your main takeaways from these last 12 months?
The main takeaway in my head is that we should not take democracy, rule of law, stability of our democratic institutions, freedom for granted. Neither in Hungary, nor in my home, Slovakia, nor in the Netherlands or Spain, not even in the United States. This is a fantastic lesson. We need to take care of democracy on a daily basis. All segments of societies should take about that. First of all, we politicians or policymakers, but also civic society members, and at the end of the day, also our citizens, people.
Yeah, thank you very much. So it was nearly 2 years ago that Russia unleashed its war of aggression on Ukraine. But in the past year, we have seen a sort of Ukraine fatigue, right? Also because of the emergence of other conflicts like the one in the Middle East. What is your assessment of the situation, and how do you think the EU should approach it?
Yes, this is an issue number one for the present time, and I'm afraid that also for the future. I realize that only Ukraine, people of Ukraine, can decide when and how the conflict can end. From our perspective, from the perspective of the Western society, and from the perspective of the EU, the substantial is to understand that the threat, or also a military threat on the EU, is here, and it is very, very dangerous. So, conditio sine qua non in my head is that we should do everything in our power to prevent the situation when Russia is able to swallow Ukraine, to subjugate the country. This is our role. Together with our friends in the United States, with the other friends and allies in the NATO community, we should do everything in our power to prevent that. It means that we should be strong, not only rich, but also strong. We need to improve our defense capacity, military mobility, weapons production capacities, to improve our military infrastructure, to be able to resist and to help Ukraine as much as possible to prevent this ominous situation when Russia is able to swallow the country.
Maybe we can use this occasion to make a little teaser for next year. One of our main projects would be under your initiative about EU defense.
Yes, I'm pretty proud that we have decided to be clever enough a few years ago to focus on defense, to build the EU as a real, authentic federation in which some competencies should be transferred to the communitary level. And you remember very well that we spoke about two major issues: foreign policy and defense. And this is great that in March next year we will introduce a comprehensive concept how to build European defense, including the part of the deterrence, military deterrence. And I am pretty proud of that.
You should be. So before we were speaking about the emergency of this new conflict in the Middle East, new re-emergence. How do you read this situation now?
As a very dangerous and as a situation which reminds me the challenge of squaring a circle. This is really impossible to come up with any comprehensive solution. What we can do is to support a step-by-step approach or step-by-step solution. At the beginning, we should understand that Israel is focusing on preventing any other relapse, repetition of the 7th of October. We should have full understanding for that. Demilitarization of Gaza is now the question number one. And then it seems to me that there is only one option left. A kind of coordinated approach of the international community which could lead to a kind of scrutiny when it comes to Gaza. Until the moment when we are sure that there is no other huge terrorist threat comparable with that of the September of October, the 7th of October.
Okay, so let's turn now to EU affairs, because our member states have also our challenges of their own. One of our main research projects from this year, called Middle Class Concerns and European Challenges, found that purchasing power is one of the main concerns, in particular of the middle class. How do you think politicians should approach these fears and rebuild trust with our voters?
First of all, I am glad and happy that we have been focusing on the middle class, because small and medium-sized enterprises create a substantial part of our GDP, and this is the future still, the middle class. When speaking about the measures, I would divide them into two categories. The first category is measures which should be or need to be adopted immediately now, and the second group, this is measures which are of a mid-term character. When it comes to immediate solutions, we should focus on our indebtedness. The countries of the EU, of Eurozone, we are heavily indebted, and we need to curb this debt. Consolidation is needed. How? By substantial structural, economic, and social reforms. So this is one package of measures which should be taken, I would say, immediately to curb inflation, to help our households, but especially small and medium-sized enterprises. When it comes to mid-term solutions, we need to focus ourselves on quality education, on better research, on innovation, on the support of startups, artificial intelligence, and all these relevant issues, because we face two challenges in Europe, not in Europe, but maybe globally. On one side, it is very low level of birth rate. On the other side, we have aging population. So only via innovation, artificial intelligence, modern technologies, we can face these challenges.
So let's conclude by looking to next year, 2024. What do you think should be the key priority for the EU to focus on?
As priority number one, I will mention as conditio sine qua non defense and security. due to the war of Russia against Ukraine, and due to the current situation in Israel, in the Middle East, but also due to the situation in Sahel, in the north of Africa, immigration, all these things, we need to adopt substantial measures how to defend our territory, how to protect our citizens. As number two, I would mention social dimension of politics. It means that we should do everything in our power to promote economic and social reforms, which will help our enterprises to come up with new technologies, sophisticated productions, higher productivity of work. Then I would mention the better cooperation with our allies, not only in the EU or inside the EU, but also abroad, in the United States, in Latin America, in Africa, to develop our trade and business with these regions. And at the end, I would mention two areas which I consider as important and very timely: the process of enlargement and internal EU reform. The process of reunification, European reunification, has not been completed yet. We have the countries on the east, Eastern Partnership countries, but we have also countries in the Western Balkans that are keen to join the EU. So I would be very happy if there is a progress in 2024 in this respect. And last but not least, we need to promote our internal reforms, because it is absolutely clear that there is a big handicap in the EU when it comes to our decision making, especially into two areas: foreign policy and defense. So I am absolutely sure that a substantial internal reform of our institutions, of the EU as such, is on the table.
Thank you very much, President. Thank you for your time and for this valuable insight. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you very much, Sarah.
And to you all, thank you for watching. If you want to know more about our Thinking Talks interview and about the activities of the Martens Center, you can find everything on our website and on our social media platform. Thank you, and see you next time.
See you.